Water for Children, Part 3. Hi guys! It has been 5 weeks since my visit to the village, where there is no water or electricity. The good news is that we finally made a haul. I'm actually blessed to get the first step done within 5 weeks only. I will explain why. I was promised to have the results within first 2, maximum 3 weeks. However, in local culture, 3 weeks can easily become 3 months. So 5 weeks, after all, it's not that much bad. At the depth of 350 meters, we were almost desperate that there will be no water at all, and we will have to do it all over again. However, at the depth of 370 meters, we reached the water level. The first fountain looked incredible. My driver made video with his phone, but it's so terribly low quality that I'm not going to attach it here. As soon as the pressure stabilized, the water settled at the level of 150 meters. So obviously now we need to buy and set up the pump and the hose. And as I told you, there is no electricity in this area. Therefore, I also had to buy electric generator. And also for electric generator we bought a huge tank of fuel. It is on its way there as well. So they won't be in need of any fuel within the nearest future. I made sure that the well is attached to the school officially, so no one else can claim it. I'm on my way to the village now. We'll just set up all the equipment, and we will enjoy the first sip of clean and cool water. I cannot promise you that it will happen actually today, because the most probably will be some kind of complications, as it always happens. But anyway, we will get there very soon. The water, by the way, is already checked in the laboratory. I paid another $800 to make sure that it's suitable for drinking, and there is no dangerous elements in it. And this water is totally absolutely fine. Do you remember I told you that nothing interesting can happen? So that's the news. Did you see on the backseat during my previous videos? There were 2 gentlemen who both work for the drilling company, so they're quite experienced in all sort of things regarding creating and setting up the wells. One of them even has got a high education in engineering. So after a few hours of drive, one of them suddenly made big eyes and informed me that we had forgotten a very important detail, which is a cable to connect the electricity generator and a pump. And as you can guess, deep in Savannah, there are not many shops where we can find an electric cable. So we have spent already 3 hours more looking for it in all nearest settlements. So far no luck. So taking into consideration that it's already 2 p.m. in the afternoon and we started our journey early morning, there are chances that we will have to just come back to buy that cable and then attempt to come back to the village in the next day. What can I say? This is Africa, baby! But as I told you, I'm quite used to that because I have been living in Thailand for more than 20 years. And there the guys are absolutely the same. So we finally made it. Here is our future well, carefully covered with the thorn. That is the habit to protect what need to be protected with thorn. By the way, look, they almost finished the school. The building is almost ready. It's quite chilly today, 25 degrees only. So people are wearing some warm clothes. Here is all our stuff like pump, hoses, cables and everything. You see the women who are gathering over there? They're wearing a special clothes. I guess it's to celebrate in case we succeed with water today. Children, on the contrary, as usual, are hiding somewhere far away. I have just spotted one guy there, but he spotted me as well, so... I like the weather today. It's not too much hot and dry. When they just started, as you saw, it was very much different. It was so dry that they lost quite a lot of cows, which died without water. There were a few rains recently, so it looks a bit more cheerful, but it won't last long, because after this series of short rains, there will be again several months without a drip of water from the sky. So, this lady who is wearing modern clothes is called Sophie. Hello, Sophie.
Hello.
She even remembers my name as well. So she told me that there are about 500 or 600 children in the school. In general, in this region there are more than 1,000 children. So they're building the second school over there to accommodate all of them. I couldn't actually imagine that this small building can host so many kids. I thought in the beginning that maybe she made a mistake, and it's like 50-60 children studying there. But there were no mistake. Our truck carrying the tank with fuel has a breakdown on the way here. So we expected to arrive a bit later. Now the main task is to connect the pump, the generator, and set up everything correctly. And as soon as everything starts working, we will pump water every week or so into that little reservoir, sitting on left side from the old school. I wonder how many children were studying in that building. Maybe only 200 or 300. Anyway, that reservoir shall be enough for all the kids here and even maybe for someone else. Okay, we're about to finish and everyone is here already. All the women are beautifully dressed and the whole village has learned how to pronounce my name by this time. Konstantin. I was always interested in finding out how the things are with the medicine here and with the death mortality level. Unfortunately, when I was visiting Maasai villages, there were no chances to find out the truth about that, because most of them just don't speak even Swahili. I'm not even talking about English, of course. Anyway, here it's about 1,002 or 300 children in this area, and as I was saying in my previous videos, Maasai family can have up to 100 children, so 20 or 30 in one family is not considered to be many actually. However, it was happening because many children were dying. So as soon as I get a chance to chat with this lady who is from Maasai tribe, but she's civilized already, she works in the local administration, I got the answers. She shared with me that when were opened 3 hospitals 10 kilometers from here, the level of death mortality reduced significantly. Over the last year only 10 children died. And this is actually for local area is a great result. Before it would be dozens. But still, I believe even 10 children out of 1,300 is a way too many. And none of these kids died from an accident. Unfortunately, all children died from the diseases, which by description look very similar as severe cases of flu. But the other problem is that parents don't always take measures timely, and that causes sad results. If the parents take the child to the hospital at early stage, no one dies. But if they don't dare to take the kids to the hospital immediately, or actually walk with them all these 10 kilometers, when he or she is already in bad condition, it of course may result in death. In the meanwhile, I decided to hang around and have a look at this school. That's right. As they say in my country, if someone is afraid of you, someone respects you. Okay. Let's check who is the bravest. High five! Don't be afraid. It's okay. Don't be afraid. Okay. The first one unlocked this Pandora box. Now everyone would do the same. It's okay, don't be afraid. I'm not that much scary. Don't be afraid. One more time. It's okay. The second high five.
Нет, не надо, не надо. Давай еще раз. Петюню.
Yeah, I know what you will say. The children are quite dusty and dirty,
Грязный.
which is understandable, taking into consideration that they don't have a chance to take a shower daily. High five! And you, nice to meet you, nice to meet you. Okay, enough. I also want to have a look at the classroom inside. That's another proof of the hedging level. As you can see, the level of the height, everything is covered with dust, because their hands are always dirty. I guess it's one of the biggest reasons mortality level as well. At least they know how to write. Look here. What does it say? Mama, what? Kakua mukele? Okay, you can read too. That's good. Okay, dear. Parents, if you have a spoiled child who is complaining about conditions in the school, show them this video. I don't know, it seems like in my childhood there were no such old-fashioned desks. Looks like the scene from the very old movie. The blackboard and the teacher desk. So they have several buildings like that. I guess this is the local bell. I just need to find what do they use to make it go. Here is the stick. Go to the class, the lessons begin. Hi there, Grandma.
Пожать.
Thank you, Grandma. Thank you.
Ася, Ася. Вот.
Okay, let's have a look here.
Усов.
It's another classroom. One more is in the process, and here they teach about 500 or 600 kids. I guess that they just have 2 or maybe even 3 shifts, because it would be physically impossible to teach them all in at once. Here there are some construction works, maybe they're renovating the old one, maybe they're finishing the new one, I don't know. This one is a brand new, definitely. All of that is done with the money from the government. The Maasai don't pay a penny, but all children must go to the school. They have the list of children who are missing in classes often, and in this case the teachers go to talk to the family. But you can imagine how difficult it is to organize the process for all the kids. Because if Maasai has 20 kids, for example, he cannot afford to let them all go to school every day. They have to work. So one week it's maybe 3 kids are going to school and all the rest are walking and herding the cattle. The other week another 3 would go to school and the first 3 would come back to work. It's not an ideal situation, but I believe it's still better than nothing. And the guys over there are still trying to fix and set up the equipment, I believe. It's getting hotter, so I returned back to the car. And what I have been thinking about. Imagine that all of them are actually relatives to each other, even if they live in different bomas. Boma is a kind of village. They're still related. They see each other every day, and it still never stops him from talking to each other. I've spent here in the car a few hours already, and they have been talking all this time. But what else they have left to do? They don't have phones, they don't have internet, they don't have electricity, they don't even have books. That means in turn that they don't have any new information. Therefore, I have one question. What are they talking about for hours? That is the mystery for me. I have discussed this question with the famous anthropologist Drobyshevsky, like, why it happens. Because I saw it between other quiet isolated tribes, which are also living in their small societies without any news coming from the world. And they always talk. Once I actually dared to come to the couple of Maasai warriors who have been chatting in front of me for 2 hours no less. So they told me that they're actually living in the neighbor villages and they're relatives. And they explained to me that they're talking about attention, everything. They're discussing at their cows, for example, like one cow has died yesterday, another cow is ill, the third cow is getting better. They often just retell the conversations of other people in the village. Like, my wife was talking to the neighbor, and she said this, and he replied that, and she said this in return, and blah blah blah. That is actually a fascinating phenomenon. Look at this man on the left. They have been talking for hours already. And if you could hear these women, you would think that you are in the chicken coop. Because they don't close their mouths even for a second. And in the meanwhile, I could bet all of them are very much familiar for each other, and they're known about each other, every single detail. Okay, we finally finished with the pump and attached all the needed hoses and cables. Now we need to gently let it all down at the level of 150 meters. I hope these guys know what they're doing. Because if anything goes wrong and they drop it, we will have to go back to the city, arrange the new pump, which will be a huge pain, and quite lots of money, and come back to repeat the procedure. While they're working, I continue torturing them with questions. So, what have I learned? Look at that mountain. Behind this mountain is the border between Kenya and Tanzania. The closest water is also behind this mountain. So this quite chubby Maasai, which is actually a rare thing to see, explained to me that the women used to go all the way around this mountain to the water source. The way to the water source takes about 3 hours and a half, and the way back takes 3 hours or 7 hours, because they have to carry liters of water. So basically, every day they walk for 9 or 10 hours. We are still trying to manage the equipment, and the ladies started to singing songs already. In the meanwhile, look what I found. Stay with us to learn what happened next.